So I was out on this run and it just kind of hit me that we have a lot of development going on down in the southern end of Utah County. As you can see, there's a lot of construction going on behind me. All right, this is down near Salem, Payson, and Spanish Fork area. So most of it used to look like this, or like this over here. Like, so a lot of this farmland out over here. But most of it's getting developed into townhomes or single family homes. And in fact, this whole entire area is a master planned area that's being developed into townhomes, single family homes, apartments, parks, baseball parks, and some retail. The retail is more along the road that's right over here. If I can find it on here. The bridge is right here. The exit and entrance to I-15 is right there. So there's a road that runs right along here that a lot of retail is going to go onto, and it's one of the last underdeveloped areas in Utah County. So the problem is that we have the Wasatch Mountains right here. They are so amazing and so beautiful, and I love to have them around. But it's also creating a problem because also over here, we got a mountain range, but behind the mountain range, right over this way, is Utah Lake. And so there's nowhere else to build, right? So there are two options that we have. One is that we can go ahead and start building outward, right? We can start building outward and filling up those spaces that aren't being taken up. And so that was what happened in Eagle Mountain, right? There was a little path that kind of weaseled its way on over to Eagle Mountain, and that is where a lot of new, cheaper homes are being built because the land is cheaper out there. And now we're having the same thing happen down here, and even as far as Santaquin and Nephi, right? Which is way down south. It's a longer drive, but the land is a little bit cheaper, which means you can get a better build. Now, the second thing with that is you can build on what already exists. So this is what happens in cities. In cities, you have land that already exists. Typically, they're brownfields, right? They've already been developed, maybe torn down, maybe it's just a building that's just sitting there, right? But doesn't have as much utility as something new. So what they do is they develop, the land value increases, right? So you get way more bang for your buck because people want to be in those downtown areas. There's a more concentrated population of people that can pay higher rents to live in those areas, right? Because people get paid more typically in those areas. You start developing on what has already been built. So those are kind of the two things that you can do with real estate when there's no more land to have. Either one, you can build on what's already been built, or two, you can start expanding out into areas, the little tiny areas that don't have as much development, but they're further out, right? In areas like, I think it's Dallas and Fort Worth, you can expand out just about anywhere, right? And then you start having these rings that go around bigger and bigger and bigger that connect all the surrounding towns around the main central city. We can't really do that in Salt Lake or Utah County. In Salt Lake, we have the city, you have the mountains on one side, and then you have Salt Lake on the other side. And then for Utah, you have the mountains on one side, and then you have Utah Lake on the other side. And so people are trying to build and get to every area that they can possibly manage while still having access to utilities. So those are just kind of my two thoughts on that, and where do you build when you have nowhere else to build?